So, Claire, you spoke about things that led up to the decision, but to what extent did the governing body discuss the philosophical aspects of the move to academy conversion? I'm thinking particularly, there has rightly been some questioning, hasn't there, about the move to essentially becoming an independent school, and that attracts additional monies that then comes out of the pot for maintained schools, and so, arguably the detrimental impact on those other schools. Was there much discussion around that?
Yes, there was. Yeah, it was a subject for continuing debate, I think it's fair to say. One of the things that we noticed straight away is that when we made the announcement that this was something that we were going to conduct, the research into what mechanism was best suitable for our needs, it did raise lots of questions by other local schools, as well as within our own stakeholder population. So there were concerns, and I understand those concerns, because the concept of removing a chunk of money out of the sort of local authority pot that best goes towards supporting the needy, the more needy schools, was something we had to take into consideration very seriously, because of the implications for support for schools that maybe were not performing quite as well. And therefore the collaborative aspects became key within our conversations, in that, again, there were concerns and perceptions about, would we be removing our support from local networks, local school-to-school support provisions that were already in place, and we had to provide a lot of assurance that that was not our intention, and nor would that be something that we would be looking to change, because they're beneficial, mutually beneficial, and therefore we would want to retain them. However, within our authority, the Director for Children and Young People decided that actually, if this was something that was going to be increasing, so the fact that there would be potentially more academies opening within this authority, that she would decide to fund all schools as if they were academies. So the budget came in centrally and was being proportioned to each school, and therefore a traded services option came in, and you chose what you wanted to buy back into, and that happened at the same time. So it was something that we were very, very aware of, in terms of what were the possible negative implications for other schools if we were to choose that route. And so yes, it was something that a lot of time and consideration was given to, but because we weren't looking to change our commitment in terms of the support that was provided, in fact we wanted to increase it, then we felt that actually we weren't taking money away that would we would still be offering that resource and support to other schools in a way which meant that they wouldn't be negatively impacted by any decision that we took.
What about services? Because you've also spoken about, you have to procure the services that you need now that would automatically have come via the local authority. And I'm guessing that you have got a picture now where perhaps you're still buying some of those services from the local authority and some externally, or am I wrong about that? And are there particular areas that really didn't meet your need?
Okay, well there's a number of different aspects to pick up there. In terms of doing a full review of all contracts and services, obviously some incur penalties if you were to come out of contracts early on. So we did take a decision that it wasn't in anybody's interest to overhaul all services and contracts at once. So because of the natural timing and conclusion of some contracts, that meant that it was better financially in terms of not incurring penalties, but also in terms of manageability to stagger the procurement services. Nonetheless, we did do the research to ensure that we were clear before we started making decisions what that might mean in terms of cost. So I'll give you some facts and figures. For us, the LACSEG monies, the extra pot of money, benefited us by approximately £300,000. Approximately £100,000 of that, so a third, was then spent by procuring in services that we would have otherwise had from the local authority. Some were retained with the local authority, but it's fair to say the majority were outsourced to different providers, and that's simply on the fact that value for money, it's our responsibility to ensure value for money, and service, the quality of service delivery was better met in a lot of circumstances by other providers that had academy experience. So again, proper processes in terms of procurement were undertaken, quality assurance was important, value for money was important, and it did mean that, as I say, approximately a third of the extra monies that we gained was spent straight away by procuring the services. So you still got a significant amount of money left over. Now that's for a secondary school. For primary schools it's very different, and that's why it goes back to our earlier conversation about money. Money cannot be the driving factor. It can be an aspect, but it can't be the driving factor, because all income is subject to change and we don't know what that will look like going forward. Neither do any maintained schools.